This is a reading for somebody who is stepping into the archetype of Anima Mundi in 2026. And if you haven't been tuning into these archetype readings, these are general collective readings about the archetypal energies that you will be working with in the year ahead. So you might resonate with multiple messages depending on which archetypes are calling to you. And the only way to really know if the archetype is calling to you specifically is to listen to the message and see if it resonates. But when I think about Anima Mundi, specifically with the energy of 2026, this is a card that makes me think of the World card in the tarot, for one thing, if you're more familiar with that. And in its relationship to that card and how it's going to show up in 2026, we are at a ending and a beginning. So literally right now as I'm recording this reading, we're coming to the close of 2025, and you could feel like right now even that you are going through a period of initiation where you're really allowing yourself to see things from a greater perspective. And one of the things that I always talk about when I'm teaching creative visioning that I was reminded of this week, because somebody who took my class emailed me about it, is that when I'm talking about creative visioning, I always talk about how when we create our vision for our life and what we want to create, what we desire to create in our world, we are pulling on our thread of the greater collective vision. And when we don't allow ourselves to create a vision for our life, then we're not contributing from our highest self, from our highest potential to the greater vision for all. And it's kind of a silly story, but one of the stories that I have about this is when a couple years ago, was creating my vision for my life. I wrote about that I wanted to have a coffee shop that had like a honey lavender latte in the neighborhood that I lived in. And at that point in time, I was living in this suburban town in Iowa, and we did not have a coffee shop. We had coffee shops, like we had a Starbucks and your chain drive through kind of coffee shops, but we did not have like a locally owned coffee shop. And I even had like pictures, that I had put in my vision of what I wanted, the vibe of this coffee shop to be. And within a year, this woman who ran a coffee shop when I was a teenager ended up opening up a coffee shop in the same town that I was living in at the time. And it just always struck me that I was working my vision, but my vision was connected to her vision, and her vision was connected to my vision. And so this is part of what I think about when I think about Anima Mundi, is that we're tapping into like all that is and playing our integral part in the movement. I also think about, when I think about this card, I think about the Thema Mundi in astrology, which is the chart that is meant to represent the birth of the cosmos, the birth of the universe, and the position of the planets at the point in time when this all began, and how that chart is what sets up the system and the structure for how we interpret each individual person's chart, the meanings of the planets and their placements. And when I'm looking at this card, I'm also looking at this star and all of these planetary glyphs that are on the inside of this star. But I'm thinking about how it is relative to the greater picture, the beginning, that we understand each individual's role in the cosmic play. So, if this reading resonates with you, then most likely you're going through a time in your life where you are tapping into that sense of there's more, there's something greater, and I have a role to play in it. And that's not something to diminish, is the word that's coming out for me to say. That's not something to downplay, maybe. Um, so let's dive a little bit deeper into this. So for the astrological energy that you're going to be working with in 2026, we have Descendant and Mars. So your Descendant is always in your seventh house of relationships in astrology. So a relationship or relationships could be a part of what is coming up for you in 2026. But even more so than that, I think about how we always evolve through our opposite. And so your descendant is always opposite to your ascendant or your rising sign in astrology. And this is the sign that you are one of the main signs, I guess I should say, that you are going to evolve through that energy. It is your polar energy. So if you are a Cancer rising, then your descendant is going to be in Capricorn. You are going to evolve through Capricorn energy. Now, you might have placements in Capricorn, and those placements will also evolve through Cancer energy. So we're always balancing the opposite, which is very much what Anima Mundi is also related to. And then with Mars, I do feel like there's attraction here. I feel like there is potentially a meeting of a person that is going to be significant. Now, this doesn't have to be romantic in nature. This could be a collaborator. This could be somebody that just lights up passion in you around something that you're excited about, and it makes you feel more tapped into that bigger picture of all that is. And I see here too that we've got, in both of these cards, we've got the mouth open. So I feel like you're maybe going to be speaking, you're going to be talking, you're going to be sharing about something that you are trying to get other people to take action on. Maybe you could be an activist potentially, or just somebody who's trying to create change in the world, which fits in with the Anima Mundi as well. That you have a vision for how you want to impact the world, and you're trying to connect with other people who are also taking action like towards that vision. Let's go a little bit deeper into your story. Sorry, my dog's barking. Ooh, love it. You're very aware that there's a change that's on the precipice for you. And the energy of 2026 is the 1. It's a 10-1. And I see that this is part of the deeper emotional feeling that you're already having about 2026, is that you have a sense that there's opportunities that are going to be coming your way, and there's new beginnings that are going to be opening up for you. Okay, really interesting. So what I was just talking about, the deeper emotional feeling that you're having about this is like the feeling you're having literally right now, I feel, because this is the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune is related to Sagittarius. We're in Sagittarius season right now for just a few more days. So you could have already felt like a sense of fate, or things are changing, or things are moving, and you're ready to initiate something in the new year. But also, since this is coming up in the deeper emotional feeling that you're having about it, I do feel like you could feel like you don't necessarily have your hands on the wheel. You don't know exactly where everything is going yet. And it could also be that you've reconnected with something or someone during Scorpio season this year, so mid-October to mid-November. I have the Six of Cups and the way that you're consciously thinking about this. And actually, I just saw on my timer that as I was talking, it was 10:01. So it's a palindrome of 1001. So you feel like the last November and December 2025 have kind of been a little bit of a portal for you, and you maybe got back in touch with people or a person or a calling that you felt like you had stepped away from for a while. And this is something that's bringing you a sense of joy and a sense of happiness, but it's also maybe raising some questions for you, it looks like. And a situation from the past that's influencing how you're currently feeling about this is the Queen of Pentacles. So I feel like maybe you stepped away from something just so that you could kind of like get your feet underneath you. And you got yourself to a position where you felt like a sense of sturdiness or a sense of stable ground beneath you, rooted, and you weren't really looking for drama. And you weren't really looking for another challenge, is what's coming up for me. But as you've been reconnecting with this energy from the past, you're maybe starting to feel like there's a challenge on the way, but it's one that you're kind of excited about. And Mars is also a challenge energy. You could actually be working with the planet Mars, like as your ruling planet of the year in 2026. This isn't going to resonate for everybody, but Mars actually just moved into Capricorn like this week on December 15th, 2025. So you could be feeling like you're starting to bring your people together, or you're starting to create a container for people to step into. Ooh. And right after I said that, I had a massive cough. So I feel too that this is something that you're having a little bit of hesitation and fear around. So it's like you're feeling a lot of things. You're kind of feeling like the full spectrum of emotions, the full spectrum of the experience, which is really what being a human and being a spiritual being on earth is all about, is allowing yourself to feel the full spectrum of everything. And it looks like maybe in the past, you kind of maybe got to a point where you kind of had your guard up a little bit around feeling the whole picture. And part of the reason why I'm saying there's maybe this like hesitation or fear, besides just me coughing, is the highest and best potential outcome of the situation is the moon and the Eight of Swords. So, what's going to happen is a mystery. And the most important thing for you to remember is that even if you don't have all of the answers, you have the power to transform reality regardless of what the external reality is showing you. So don't restrict your vision based on what you think is possible. Decide what you want to create, maintain the vision, which is your thread in the greater collective vision, and balance taking the action steps and like having your plan and allowing yourself to flow intuitively with it. In 1441 was on the timer as I was saying that too. So it's like, it's not all about having the perfect plan. Some of it is more about having the vision, allowing ourselves to see with the eye the vision for what we want to create for the world and holding that vision not only for ourselves, but for everyone who our vision touches, which is everyone. All right, so for your advice, interesting. Lots of advice. All right, so we've got journaling, divine guidance, classes, and recognition. So there could be something that you're here to teach other people, and this year you're going to be recognized for what you are here to guide other people around. I feel like you're also definitely invited to script. Write out your vision, write out the days that you want to create. Just like I was talking about earlier, I mean, if you're interested in creative visioning, it's a class that I teach on school, and I definitely recommend it. But it seems like this is maybe something you're already familiar with. But script about what you want to see happen in the world and ask for guidance from the divine to help you bring that into reality. Ask for support from the divine to help you bring this into reality. All right, very interesting. So, over the next few weeks, as we're stepping into 2026, you have nest, eruption, concealed, and connection. So I feel like here there's going to be something that's going to be revealed to you through a connection, through a person. It could be somebody that you live with, it could be somebody that you are creating a container with, you're creating a group, you're creating a portal for people to step into. And it feels like maybe even this is something that you haven't been publicly talking about, or something you haven't been like really sharing with people, but you're going to start taking down the walls and allowing people to come in a bigger way. And when you do this, you're going to start to see how the whole picture is going to start coming together for you, and how this container that you're creating is about so much more than you. Not to put like a ton of pressure on it, like when I'm saying this stuff and it sounds like very esoteric and divine and big, sometimes then we can like put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and maybe that's a little bit like the coughing, of like, oh, this is so much bigger than me. Am I like really up for this? Am I really up for this role that I'm being invited to step into? And it's like, yes, you are, because you are human, therefore you are prepared. You are bringing all of your human experience to the table. And I feel like there is a message here too of like, you and your accomplishments are enough. Recognize that who you are is enough. Recognize that who you are is enough, because you are here to play a critical role in this divine story. And that's enough. And that's all you need to know. And you have enough to share just from that. And that even like with journaling and divine guidance here too, I feel like there's a message of you write out your thoughts, and that is enough. Like what your mundane reflections and observations are enough to share as teachings that the world can benefit from. So if this reading resonates with you, if this is helpful, and if you want more, then I offer private readings. I do astrology readings and cosmic story sessions. You can find information about that at the link in my bio. I also do 2026 archetype readings. They're like a downloadable PDF reading. and I will tell you more about the archetypes that you're invited to step into in 2026 or whenever you're watching this. So if that's something that's interesting to you, then you can check it out in the link in my bio. Otherwise, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for trusting me to do a reading for you, and thanks for bearing with me while I'm still recovering from being sick. And I'll catch you next time.